Coach, a lot of times during training camp practices, a lot of people say, it's tougher to see line play when you're not in live action all the time and when you're in thud most of the practices. What did you see from your defensive linemen having that first taste of live action in that first preseason game on Saturday?
Yeah, it's exactly like you said. All of a sudden now there are no holds barred. You can go all the way. There are no restrictions or limitations. I saw a lot of good things. I saw our guys control the line of scrimmage for the most part, do a really good job in the run game. I thought we collapsed the pocket and got some pressure outside of the sacks that we were able to accumulate. We've got to do a little bit better job with our pre-snap discipline, and that's normal, first game, all of the sights and sounds and what have you. And the good thing about that is that we had 3 in the first half, and the guys really responded, and we had none in the second half. So I was really happy about the overall play from the front.
Hey, Eric, the Patriots and Jets made their moves at running back last night. How much confidence do you have in your front that they can be better against the run, or the same fifth rank as last year?
Extremely confident. We've got a group of men that really accept the challenge of taking away that element from an offense. We'll see some outstanding and determined rushing attacks this year on our schedule. And with our system and the talent and the mindset that we have, I'm extremely confident.
You were really complimentary of Tim said all the early stages of camp. What did you see from him down the stretch of camp and into the first preseason?
Well, the game was a continuation of really everything that Tim had been doing, going all the way back to the offseason. He did a great job of just improving his conditioning, putting himself in a position where on that third down in that obvious rush situation, he could really go after and win his one-on-one and collapse the pocket. So very pleased with his overall play. It wasn't perfect, but he took a huge step in terms of live competition and establishing himself as really a force to be reckoned with as an interior pass rusher.
We heard from Leonard Floyd toward the end of camp. He said this is the first time he's played in a system like yours, and he said he thinks it suits his skill set better than anywhere else he's played. Have you heard that from guys who have come in to play for defensive line where you're rotating players, guys who are older in their career and feeling like this really suits them to where you're getting fresh legs in there, every few series?
Absolutely. The guys like it because they don't have to conserve anything. They know that it's not all on them. We've got a fresh set of rushers, a fresh set of guys that go into the game and accumulate blocks, set edges, anchor the point of attack. And so it really allows you to play as fast as you possibly can play and recover, and then know that there shouldn't be any drop-off when we send the next wave into the ball game. Also, Maddie, this system, I believe, is personnel-driven. We do what we do, we run what we run, and we really depend on position fundamentals, technique, great situational awareness to, accomplish our ultimate goal. And so we're not cooking it up every week. And that's another thing that I've heard from players who come from other places and come into this environment, something that they really appreciate.
With new additions like Poona and Leonard Floyd, how have you seen that solidify and help this group take that next step this season with what you've seen from the first preseason game?
Well, Leonard, just a lot of speed and quickness. I mean, a very explosive player off the edge, very explosive player, and he's a person that also accepts the responsibility of setting the edge of the defense in the run game. So I love what Leonard is going to do for us, because if that tackle has to be concerned with that speed, then he won't be able to help the guard on our 3 technique if Poona is playing in that position, which should open it up for him to be one-on-one. Poona is just a really savvy, smart player. He's a veteran, but he's kind of in the middle of his career, but really bright guy, really situationally aware guy. The play that really stands out is the 3rd down and 15 play we had after the second sack. And Poona knew that they were going to probably run what we call a get back on track play. He knew that and played it beautifully. And so it's just great to have that kind of, I guess, intuitive ability, awareness into the room. He and Leonard together, I'm really excited about what they'll do.
Kind of going off there, I was curious, we talk a lot about, you got some big personalities, especially in that defensive line room. What stands out about Leonard off the field now that he came in kind of late, so now that you've gotten to know him better, what kind of guy is he off the field and from the leadership perspective with the experience he has?
He's focused. All of my interaction with Leonard, he's focused. He really wants to be responsible for what we do. He's not a real vocal guy around me. But just really focused, really wants to pick up what we're doing. It's totally dissimilar from the situation that he played in before. And so he just really wants to pick it up, wants to do his best, and he's his own worst critic. So it's good to be around a person that has that kind of competitive pride.
Is that a nice balance to have a little bit of a quieter, because you got some loud guys, is it a nice mix then to have that in the room?
Well, you know, one of the things that, you just want everybody to be themselves. And that's some of the best advice that I ever got. And I appreciate that everyone is true and authentic to who they are, from a personality standpoint. But when it's time to go to work, they focus, they lock arms, and they're determined to work as a group to try and get the job done.
How would you?
Oh, go ahead.
No, just what do you think of Sean as taking over the DC position in a game-like scenario? What was that kind of like?
It was going back to the old days when we were at Carolina. He didn't have any rust from what I was able to see or determine. I thought our operations went well. He did a good job of going back and forth between the two roles that he has, and our communication on the sideline was good. Our operations, always in the first game, it's like everybody has a little bit of rust. This is my 16th season, and I have to, when the live action happens, where are my eyes? But for the most part, I thought it went extremely well.
How would you assess what you've seen from Boogie throughout training camp and through the first preseason game?
Boogie came to play the other day, period. He just came to play. Boogie has not, and often when you acquire players or players come in and they're established, all of a sudden now, what does that do? Is that person kind of looking over his shoulder a little bit? Not at all with Boogie. He has been focused on improving his game. His training camp, Rochester, was consistent. You saw flashes, and then in the ball game the other day, wherever we sent him out into the ball game, he went out determined to execute, to be physical. He really made a difference in the game. I mean, he had a play on third down and one that created 4th and 1 situation that we won, and then obviously he and Tim combined on the left side of the rush for the second consecutive sack that we were able to get. So just really competitive. He looked confident, which is important to me. And so just really, really happy for him and encouraged moving forward.
How has he grown as a player from rookie year? I know some transitions with his body and game style, play style. How have you seen him continue to acclimate and evolve now entering year 3?
Well, I'm starting to see consistency with certain things that are just really foundational aspects of what we have to do. I don't have to speak to those as much with his play. Boogie is able to give me feedback about what he's doing, because when we're playing a ball game, I can't watch every single player. So when he'll come to the sideline, hey, what do you think about this? The communication now reflects the experience that he's been able to accumulate, and he's learning how to win as an outside rusher, and he's learning how to win as an inside rusher. So the versatility piece is coming. In order to do that, you have to really know the full package. You can't just hone in and focus on one position. So just really encouraged with that, and I think the best is yet to come.
What allows him to be one of those guys that you kick inside that also plays on the outside?
His power, short area quickness, and strength, the ability to kind of transition from both situations very, very quickly, knowledge of our system, knowledge of a specific defensive call, comprehensive knowledge, but also just the skill set and the traits. Obviously inside, you got to have the strength and the power and the short area quickness. Things happen different at a different pace at that position than they do outside. And then what happens outside when you're going to get toss crack? What does that look like? What does it look like when the tight end is trying to cut you off if the ball is running away from that position? So just him being able to go from one to the other smoothly, his overall knowledge both positions in the entire front, that gives me the confidence to put him in those positions.
When we asked you about Ed at camp, you said, I want him to play like he's trying to earn his deal. Well, AJ Epinesa is in that spot. What have you seen of him, and do you sense a difference? I mean, that's the reality of playing in this league. Do you sense a difference in him this year?
Well, I sense AJ really trying to improve and get better. You know, the comment that I made in training camp was more cliche than anything. I just want a determined player. One of the things that I said to the guys was, you know, to me the most competitive man is someone with something to prove. And complacency is an enemy of, you know, competing and winning against the best football players in the world. And so AJ is determined. He wants to get better. He wants to help us win. He wants to get his share of production, and obviously for what that means for our defense and for him personally. And he's just a steady. He brings a certain level of enthusiasm. He's consistent every single day. So you know, that's what I've seen from AJ.
It felt like Dorian was better when the pads came on and how he played on Saturday. Maybe he's one of those guys, if you can kind of comment on that, how physical he is and needs to show. And also, Coach, is he locked in on the weak side? Is there any chance for him to play Mike at all?
Well, I'll speak to the overall physicality. You're absolutely right. I mean, our tackling overall, I thought, was very strong, and that also is you know, from the top, Sean. Our tackling, I thought, was really, really strong, just overall, at the line of scrimmage and from our linebacker and safety level. And he certainly was a part of that. His instincts, the ability to burst quickly, and he was very efficient. Where he ends up playing, that's a work in progress. That's still a fluid circumstance, but you're exactly right with how physical he was. And obviously there's no more, okay, we have to stop, we're tag off, we're thud, we're these types of things. It was an environment that really suited his personality. There was nothing holding him back in the ball game, and we saw what he's capable of doing.